Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to look at India's new cabinet ministers for 2024. From key portfolios to significant reshuffles, stay tuned to get all the details. Let us first look at the cabinet ministers. Let's start with the head of the government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi retains his position and is also in charge of the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances, and Pensions, the Department of Atomic Energy, the Department of Space, all important policy issues, and all other portfolios not allocated to any minister. Rajnath Singh continues as the Minister of Defense, ensuring the security and defense strategies of the country. Amit Shah remains the Minister of Home Affairs and also oversees the Ministry of Cooperation. Nitin Gadkari, Minister of Road Transport and Highways. Jagat Prakash Nadda, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, and Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and Minister of Rural Development. Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of Finance, and Minister of Corporate Affairs. Dr. Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs. Manohar Lal Khattar, Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, and Minister of Power. H.D. Kumaraswamy, Minister of Heavy Industries, and Minister of Steel. Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry. Dharmendra Pradhan, Minister of Education. Jitan Ram Majhi, Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Rajiv Ranjan Singh alias Lalan Singh, Minister of Panchayati Raj, and Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Sarbananda Sonowal, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Dr. Virendra Kumar, Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment. Kinja Ripu Ram Mohan Naidu, Minister of Civil Aviation. Pralhad Joshi, Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and Minister of New and Renewable Energy. Jewel Oram, Minister of Tribal Affairs. Giriraj Singh, Minister of Textiles. Ashwini Vaishnaw, Minister of Railways, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, and Minister of Electronics and Information Technology.
Jyotiraditya M. Scindia,
Minister of Communications, and Minister of Development of Northeastern Region. Bhupender Yadav, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, Minister of Culture, and Minister of Tourism. Amparna Devi, Minister of Women and Child Development. Hardeep Singh Puri, Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Kiran Rijiju, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, and Minister of Minority Affairs. Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, Minister of Labor and Employment, and Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports. G. Kishan Reddy, Minister of Coal, and Minister of Mines. Chirag Paswan, Minister of Food Processing Industries. C. R. Patil, Ministry of Jal Shakti. Now let's look at the Ministers of State with independent charge. Rao Inderjit Singh, Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Planning. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Science and Technology, Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Earth Sciences. Arjun Ram Meghwal, Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Law and Justice. Jadhav Pratap Rao Ganpat Rao, Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Ayush. Jayant Chaudhary, Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now let's look at the Ministers of State and their roles. Rao Inderjit Singh, Minister of State in the Ministry of Culture. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office, Minister of State in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Minister of State in the Department of Atomic Energy, and Minister of State in the Department of Space. Arjun Ram Meghwal, Minister of State in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Jadhav Pratap Rao Ganpat Rao, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Jayant Chaudhary, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education. Jitin Prasada, Minister of State in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Shripad Yeso Nayak, Minister of State in the Ministry of Power, and Minister of State in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Pankaj Chaudhary, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance. Krishan Pal, Minister of State in the Ministry of Cooperation. Ramdas Athawale, Minister of State in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Ramnath Thakur, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare. Nityanand Rai, Minister of State in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Anupriya Patel, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Minister of State in the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. V. Somana, Minister of State in the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Minister of State in the Ministry of Railways. Dr. Chandrasekhar Pemasani, Minister of State in the Ministry of Rural Development, Minister of State in the Ministry of Communications. Professor S. P. Singh Bagdil, Minister of State in the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Minister of State in the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Shubha Karandlahe, Minister of State in the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Minister of State in the Ministry of Labor and Employment. Kirtivardhan Singh, Minister of State in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs. B. L. Verma, Minister of State in the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Minister of State in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Shantanu Thakur, Minister of State in the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Suresh Gopi, Minister of State in the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism. Dr. L. Murugan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Ajay Tamta, Minister of State in the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Bandi Sanjay Kumar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Kamlesh Paswan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Rural Development. Bhagyarath Chaudhary, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare. Satish Chandra Dubey, Minister of State in the Ministry of Coal, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Mines. Sanjay Seth, Minister of State in the Ministry of Defense. Ravneet Singh, Minister of State in the Ministry of Food Processing Industries, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Railways. Durga Das Uke, Minister of State in the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Rukshan Akhil Khodse, Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Sukanta Majumdar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region. Savitri Thakur, Minister of State in the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Tukan Sahu, Minister of State in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Raj Bhushan Chowdhury, Minister of State in the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Bhupati Raju Srinivasa Varma, Minister of State in the Ministry of Heavy Industries, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Steel. Harsh Malhotra, Minister of State in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Nimubin Jayantibai Bombania, Minister of State in the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Murladhar Mohul, Minister of State in the Ministry of Cooperation, Minister of State in the Ministry of Civil Aviation. George Kurian, Minister of State in the Ministry of Minority Affairs, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Pabitra Margarita, Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Textiles. So there you have it, the complete list of India's new cabinet ministers for 2024. What do you think about the new appointments? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.